we're gonna go over squatting. When we teach people to squat and when we train the squat, we always have our clients squat to a box. It's not a traditional box squat where we're gonna pause and rock, but it's just a depth marker so our clients know how far we want them to go. So that way, one, they're not squatting too high, and two, they're not squatting too low and tucking their pelvis under. Typically use about a 12-inch box, but if you need to make it higher or lower, we can always make it higher for our clients by just adding a couple pads on top. Even me here, I'm about 6 feet tall, 12-inch box with 2 pads, I'm still at parallel here. When we squat, we really just want to achieve a parallel squat, femur parallel to the ground. In a perfect world, to me, everyone would squat really deep, but you know if you coach people, most people have trouble squatting deep below parallel, so why don't we set the standard here? If someone who's about my height can squat to a 12-inch box, it's going to be great. I'm well below parallel. Here, this is exactly what we're looking for. It doesn't need to be much deeper than this. Also, we like to always have a heel plate on hand as an adjustment. These are going to be our main 2 regressions. Slightly elevating the box and then adding a heel lift. Okay? Heel lift is going to be a great way if someone has poor ankle mobility, something that we're working to improve in the mobility section, or if they simply just have trouble sitting back in their hips. Elevating the heels anteriorly shifts their weight, so it's going to help them posteriorly shift their weight back into the box. So if you have someone who's struggling at squatting, the first 2 things you can think about right away, no matter what progression you're using, is maybe slightly elevating the box or slightly elevating their heels on a heel plate. Then we want to think about the 2 progressions we use when we teach squatting. The first thing we're going to use is what we call a squat press out. We're going to use something like this. We can use a light med ball, a light plate. This is about 6 pounds, so anything 6 to 10 pounds is probably going to be a pretty good tool. When we set them up to squat, we want them to think around shoulder width, maybe slightly wider. We just don't want them to be at extremes. So I don't want them way out here. I don't want them way in here. Wherever they're comfortable. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. As far as the angles of the feet go, they could be straight or even slightly out. I think a lot of people are going to be a little more comfortable with a little bit more external rotation in the hip. Again, all your clients are going to have different preferences. Help them find their happy place and then have them stay there. Squat press out's a great starting progression because an anterior reach is going to help them sit back into their hips. Okay? It's a great way to start learning how to squat. So have them hold the ball at their chest. They're going to squat down, sit back into their hips, drive the ball out away from them, tap the box, come up tall at the top. Okay? We want them to think about creating tension in their hips. So I'll cue them to think about screwing their feet in the ground. They're going to feel their glutes kind of turn on and get some tension in there. We want them to think about tracking the knees over the feet. Okay? We want them to think about keeping that chest up tall. Tap, finish, come right back up. Just a quick tap on the box as a depth marker to help them find the depth we want them to get to. Once they master this, then we can move on to having them do a goblet squat. Use a dumbbell or a kettlebell, something you can hold tight at your chest. Okay? Want them to hold that tight. 2 points of contact with the dumbbell about the collarbone and at the bottom of the sternum. If you got a kettlebell, you're going to just pin that thing nice and tight to the chest. Okay? We're going to squat down, same thing. Tension in the hips, drive the knees out over the toes. Elbows are going to come inside the knees, tap, finish nice and tall. Okay, I always say, just think about driving those elbows inside of the knees and driving those knees out by screwing those feet into the ground.